so weird. It's so interesting.
No. This has a note. This is going to seem weird, but you know Robitussin?
Hey guys, we're back with Bigfoot Bourbon Company reviews. I'm Charles.
I'm John.
And we have two special guests today. So we have
Jen
and
Sarah.
And they are here to help us really understand the complexity that is Baby Saz. Sazerac Rye from Buffalo Trace. We're going to be exploring another rye today to kind of see if this is one of those introductory ryes that's going to really help get somebody into a different type of whiskey than just straight bourbon or Irish or Scotch. You know, we'll explore Sazerac. So starting with this, Sazerac is 90 proof. It is put out by Buffalo Trace, but it's got a really interesting history. Originally, this whiskey was used in New Orleans, and it wasn't actually this whiskey. This whiskey is kind of like in honor of what happened down there. There was a coffee house, I say, because the coffee house was where they would sell whiskey back in the 1800s. And they made a cocktail called the Sazerac at the Sazerac Coffee House. And that Sazerac had bitters in it, the Peychaud's bitters, Charles Peychaud. He's the guy that kind of came up with that whole idea. And then they put it together and they made the Sazerac, which is a very traditional New Orleans cocktail. And this is named after that cocktail and that coffee house.
I don't like that cocktail. I'm going on the record.
No.
Anything with bitters in it.
Yeah, I agree.
What, is that the old fashioned?
But old fashioned has bitters.
Yeah.
I like those bitters.
It's kind of covered up. But I don't
guess, yeah.
So this is based on the coffee, named after the coffee house. This
Whiskey, not bourbon?
It is a rye whiskey. It is a straight rye whiskey. So
Age
that
statement?
means at least 4 years. The rumor is about 6, between 4 and 6. And actually, this is one of 3 with the same mash bill from Buffalo Trace. The rumored mash bill is a low rye mash bill, so it's going to be 51% rye, 39% corn, and 10% malted barley. So it's going to be low end of the rye scale, so it shouldn't have a ton of spice. It shouldn't have a ton of herbal notes. So it should be something a little bit more similar to a bourbon.
Okay.
And you call this Baby Sazerac.
Right, this is
Why?
Baby Saz because the Buffalo Trace Antique Collection has 2 varieties that use the same mash bill. One of the Buffalo Trace Antique Collection options is barreled at cask strength, but it's about the same age as this Sazerac, and that is going to be Thomas H. Handy. That is going to have the same mash bill, but it's going to be a little bit more complex. I think John has a bottle. It's delicious.
We'll do that one later.
We'll do it at some point. But the reason it's truly Baby Saz is because they also have Sazerac 18, which is the same thing, but instead of being 4 to 6 years old, it's going to be 18 years old.
Oh, wow.
Now, that is one of the 2. I mean, there's 5 antique collections. You got George T. Stagg, you've got William LaRue Weller, and Thomas H. Handy. Those are produced in a little bit larger of volume. Then you get into the other 2 that are kind of wild. You got Eagle Rare 17 and Sazerac 18. The fact that they're older most likely limits some of the barrels that they have available, so there's just not nearly as many bottles that are produced. I think one of the last time I was able to find bottle numbers, there was like 1,000 Sazerac 18s produced for the entire nation.
Really?
So, yeah.
That's it? That's not a lot.
Right, so that's why those 2 are very hard to come by.
Okay.
Stagg and Handy are a little bit more common.
Right.
Weller's kind of in that middle. But Weller, again, that's the unicorn of unicorns for me, at least. I would love to have some William LaRue Weller. But anyways, so this is 90 proof, and we're going to see how it goes. All right, let's see.
As he's pouring, I'm going to go ahead and say, like, I am not a bourbon person, so I think that I like to try the bourbons, but I don't particularly like to drink bourbon as often as the rest of them. So
It's a rye.
My perspective might
Whiskey.
be a little bit different than the rest of them.
Okay. All right, let's explore. Cheers, friends.
Yes. Cheers. Okay.
It doesn't have as much rye. I guess that low rye mash bill, only
It's like-
51%.
Yeah, that doesn't smell like
It
dill.
smells like marshmallow.
Yes, I get a lot of marshmallow. Yeah,
I
it's
get
very
the
sweet.
caramel, vanilla
Mhm.
flavors.
Yeah. It's almost like a really young bourbon.
It is.
It doesn't have a
It
ton of
does.
rye notes to it.
And I'm not normally a big rye spice kind of person. I like more of a traditional style bourbon, so this smells really good.
Now, is rye normally sweeter or not as sweet?
It's more spicy.
More spicy
Generally,
and sweet,
from my
okay.
experience, it'll have more like grassy and herbs, like a lot of
Some
dill
earthier-
sometimes.
Earthier.
Earthier, yeah.
notes.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's not as sweet, not caramel vanilla
Right.
necessarily, but
That's what this smells like. Which
this
is
definitely.
interesting.
I do get some vanilla. I get some.
Maybe a
But-
little touch of cinnamon,
Yeah.
tiny touch.
It's not a very complex note.
It's almost like
It's kind of like.
I don't know.
I would say it's light too. I would
Yeah.
agree with that.
It's there at first, and then it kind of goes away really quickly.
Yeah.
All right, we ready?
Yeah, let's take a sip.
Let's do it.
Okay.
All right.
It's not very viscous.
No, it's very light in the
does
mouth.
not coat the tongue at all, but it's delicious.
It is
I-
very
got
good.
some rye notes. Got some.
A little bit of the rye
I
spice
do
at the
taste
front.
like a grassy.
Yeah,
Okay.
there is
Yes,
a
I
grassy
do
note.
see that.
Definitely
It's
some
different
grassy.
than the smell.
Yeah.
Like the
Yeah, no.
It's not necessarily the same. Like you would expect more vanilla and caramel.
Yes, you would sweeter. You would
Right.
expect sweeter.
This is not very sweet,
No.
which
No.
is so weird. It's
Yeah.
so interesting.
No. This has a note. This is going to seem weird, but you know Robitussin?
Yeah,
It's got a note right
I can
on
see
it.
that. Yeah. The
That's
back
so
end of it. I mean,
funny.
the finish. The
It's like the
is that
tussin.
the, is that the alcohol note though?
I mean, just to be honest, it's not a professional note, but I'm just going to say it's there.
I can see that.
That's great.
I don't think that see the mouthfeel does not. I mean, the finish is longer than the mouthfeel would suggest. Like it
I
stays
agree.
on your tongue
Yeah.
a little bit longer than you would expect.
Right.
Yeah.
I get a
Definitely
little.
longer than some others for
Oh,
sure.
yeah.
I get a little bit of fruit, tiny little bit of vanilla, a little bit of caramel, but
Yeah.
it's more rye than it is bourbon, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
You can tell it's a rye.
A little bit of licorice towards the very end.
Maybe that's the tussin note.
The
Maybe.
black
I
licorice.
think
Black
maybe,
licorice.
yeah.
That's
Yeah.
probably what that is. It's good.
Yeah, I do like kind of the lightness actually.
Yeah. It is something that I think you could, like we were talking about earlier, introduce somebody that is traditionally
Absolutely.
into bourbon.
Or you could put that into a cocktail.
Yeah, no,
And
it's-
that,
Well, of
it
course,
kind of makes sense.
the
Sazerac.
Sazerac.
Kind of
Yes.
makes sense now.
Yes. I even think, I'm sorry, I even think that if you were trying to introduce someone to just bourbon in general, whiskey in
Yeah.
general, this would be kind of
Yeah.
a good gateway because it is kind of lighter.
I can see that.
Yeah.
The fruitiness though, I feel like it's almost like a blackberry or some
I can
sort
see
of
some of that.
grapey, blackberry type of fruit in there, maybe.
It's almost like a wine. Like there's
Yeah.
some definite wine flavor
see that.
profile there.
Yes.
Like towards
Port
the back, like you
notes.
almost like the
Port.
the skins of the grape.
Yes.
No, it's good though. Very very tasty. Okay, so let's rate this this fella.
Okay.
All right, so the nose. I like the nose,
Mm-hmm.
I do too.
but it's not super.
I'm ambivalent about this.
I mean, it's not.
It's not.
Doesn't
it doesn't take
stay.
over, right?
Yes.
It's not pronounced. It's
Doesn't
very,
have that staying power.
So the initial note is really nice,
It's
but then
nice.
after it's kind of gone.
It's,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's quick to go.
So I would give it a 5, maybe a 4.5. I mean, the nose
where
is
I'm at.
it's good,
Yes.
but it's not
Yeah.
It's
notable.
not transcendent.
I agree with
It's
that.
just-
But like, are we gonna rate it on the length of the nose, or are we gonna rate it on the initial
Like
nose?
how
Because those are to me are two different ratings.
I think
I feel like.
I think for me, when I start thinking about something in a higher rating, it would have more depth.
Yeah.
There's just
Agreed.
not
It
a lot of
lasts.
depth
that
and
that
be
long
more right.
lasting kind of notable, like you
Right.
said.
Couple different notes and
Uh-huh.
levels, and I mean, we could. There's some things in here that we could pull out.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
that
That
would have a
definitely
little
have
bit more
great
profound
noses.
nose.
Then I would
Right,
probably say a 4
absolutely.
because
Okay.
it does go away so quickly.
So we're in that
Mhm.
same boat.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Okay, let's do the taste. I mean, okay. So I'm gonna say something that might not be popular. It really does. I mean, it tastes like this has already had some ice in it, and it's been watered
yes.
down.
Yeah.
It's not.
This is a cocktail drink.
Yes,
Yes.
this would be a great mixer. I don't know that I would drink a lot. I mean, I do, of course. I enjoy Sazerac Rye, but it's not going to be my first choice.
No.
This will be. It's delicious by itself, but it doesn't have the depth that I'm
Yeah.
traditionally
There's
looking
other
for.
ryes that
Yeah.
I'm going to pick up before this one.
Yeah.
This
It's good
one-
to have on your shelf, though.
Sure.
No, absolutely. Especially
Sure.
for somebody coming
And
over,
to share.
Yes.
like this
Yeah.
young lady who does not
I don't-
love whiskey.
But I also don't like the taste of grass. So my rating is probably going to be a little bit on the lower end,
Okay,
just
so
because I'm not a big fan.
what do you think? What's your rating?
I would say like 2.5
Okay.
because I
Rough.
really taste the grass.
Watch out for the
Like the
Buffalo Trace
grassiness.
people coming to get
Yeah.
Now, well, I understand that.
The
I
BT
understand that, and I
Mafia gonna
respect
be
them.
in
However,
the comment section.
to me, that's the most pronounced
Okay.
flavor that
That's
I
fair.
Okay,
I
so
have.
maybe we don't start her with a rye.
Right, yeah. Maybe the dessert of bourbon is where we need
Something
to go.
a little
to.
sweeter.
Exactly.
The rosé
Yeah.
cast.
Exactly.
All right. So where are y'all at with this?
Okay, so
'Cause
she says 2.5. What do you say, John?
I'm at 5.5, 6 for a rye. I
okay.
kind of like it.
I would.
You know, it's a little weak. Maybe I'm on the 5.5, 5 side because it
Okay.
is a little ice cube.
Yeah. I would probably go 3.5 to 4.
Okay.
In terms of a rye, it's definitely a rye that I would enjoy more than some of the spicier, bolder ryes. I do like kind of its mellow nature, but I do agree it does kind of leave me wanting. It doesn't have that boldness of flavor. It doesn't have the depth. It doesn't have complexity. It's
Right.
just kind of there and then it's gone. And so I would like to see something with a little bit more, I don't know,
Yeah.
personality.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
personality, I think.
Absolutely. And
So yeah,
I think if you got something with a little bit higher of a proof,
yeah,
you'd get that.
yeah.
It doesn't have to be necessarily older,
No.
but you need something that's got a little bit more oomph. to it,
Yes. Yes.
But if you had that and you tried to mix it, then you would be taking away. Like I think that's
Yeah.
why it is such a good
Yes.
one to
Mixing,
mix with,
yes.
is because then it complements other flavors versus taking
Absolutely.
over.
Absolutely.
No, I think that's one of the reasons it's such a great
Yeah.
thing to put in a Manhattan or
Absolutely.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know, or the Sazerac,
Then I might
which is
like
liquid
that a little
fresh.
bit better.
Yes.
Okay.
All right, do me a
hold
favor.
on.
What about you?
Let me rate mine. I
Yeah,
say
you have to rate.
4.5 to 5. I'm with
Okay.
4.5 to 5.
Okay.
We're kind of all in the same boat.
Yeah.
Except for this young.
She's like,
2.5 to
Owen.
3 is not. I mean, for somebody who doesn't particularly love bourbon,
That's fair.
Mm.
Fair.
Everything's
Fair
gonna
enough.
be below a 5 for this.
not everything. No, there are definitely some up in the
Of
regular
course.
cabinets that are a
Her-
little
Fair.
bit.
Her the expensive shelf.
Right. Exactly. Okay. So let's talk about value. This is about a
yes.
$30 to $35 bottle.
Wait, did
Oh.
you tell? You did 4.5 to 5. Okay, sorry.
4.5 to 5. So this is a $30 to $35 bottle. Not available everywhere. I've seen it more frequently recently, which
Okay.
I'm hoping that Buffalo Trace has just upped their distillation and aging. And we're going to see this more consistently because it is, again, a very good bottle to have on your shelf. So what do we think?
That's where I'm gonna. This is where I'm gonna freak you out. At $30, isn't this like an 8?
Yeah.
Like-
No, this is fantastic
I
for
would
that
say
price.
that's actually a really good deal.
Yes.
I mean,
Yes.
we don't often purchase bottles
Unique.
that cheap.
Right.
It's
I think
true.
I actually appreciate the price point
Yeah.
for what it is, and that would draw me more to trying it more often.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I
'Cause it's
think
not
that's actually, I would
breakable.
say probably a good 7.5
Okay.
to 8 in terms
Even-
of price.
okay. Sounds good.
I think too that particular price point is a good bourbon to kind of be a gateway into bourbons or whiskeys and ryes. I think also if you're trying to, stock your home with things that you have company that may be able to enjoy for maybe not so much of a price.
And
Yeah.
you're not going to get mad
Perhaps.
when your uncle pours some of this in a glass with
Yes.
some ice or water or Coke even. You're
Right.
not going to get mad at $30.
Right.
Right.
I also find the bottle to be kind of appealing.
Yeah,
I really
it's
like
a
the look
pretty
of the
bottle.
bottle. I like the font
We
on the
never
bottle
talk
as
about
well.
the marketing.
It's
but-
very New Orleans.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that that's a great value. So I'm going to go
It's simple,
probably
I like that.
8 or 9 on
Oh, wow.
value for that.
All right.
I would agree with that. I would like a little bit. I think if it was 100 proof, it'd be a little bit better of a
Yes.
value. It's just there's a lot
Yeah.
there's a lot more that I think could come out of this, especially having tasted Thomas Handy. I believe this is probably like a 7,
Okay.
like a confident 7 value because it is a bottle that you can pull out for somebody that doesn't, like my wonderful wife said, she's not a huge whiskey drinker. And this is something that could be used to introduce a new whiskey drinker and get them interested.
Yeah, you're not crying if I mix this with something.
Right, no.
But if some of the other bottles, you'd be like, why are you mixing it?
Right.
So I think this is.
Well, you drink it how you drink it. You love it in a certain way, and that's your prerogative, absolutely. And nobody should judge you for how you drink your whiskey. If you like it with ice, if you like it mixed with Coke.
Right.
I mean, that's an expensive Coke, but do what you need to do, right?
All right. So, what's the most expensive bourbon that you've ever personally seen get poured in with Coke?
Oh my Lord.
That's a really good question.
Yeah, I want to comment below.
Let us know.
Yeah, I want to hear your horror story of that uncle or somebody who came over and was just like, "Oh, Pappy," and
Oh no.
yeah, I want to hear that one.
And how did you swallow that?
Yep.
What did you do about it?
Yes.
Did you say something?
What was that feeling like?
All right, thanks guys. Hope to see you soon. Bye.
Bye.